Om Shanti. This is the Avyakt Murli of the 25th of January, 2015. It has been revised from the 25th of January, 1979, 36 years ago. The title is, To give regard is to receive regard. To give samman is to receive samman. Today, the Father, the bestower of fortune, the Bhagya Vidhata, was especially examining the record from the beginning until now of all his fortunate children. What record was he examining? He was examining your record of giving regard. Giving regard is the special way to make your Brahman life into the stage of ascent. Those who give regard are the special souls of the present time, and they also become worthy of receiving regard from all souls for birth after birth. From the moment that Bap Dada played his part in the corporeal world, he gave regard to the children. He always considered the children to be more elevated than himself and surrendered himself to them. Children first, and then the Father. Children become the crown of the head. Children become worthy of worship in two ways. And it is the children who become the instruments to reveal the Father. From the beginning, the Father gave regard to everyone. In the same way, children who have been following the Father have kept a very good record of giving regard to everyone from the beginning. Each of you should check yourself to see what your record is like. Firstly, examine your record to see how much regard you have for the Father. Secondly, how much regard you have for the knowledge you have received from the Father. Thirdly, how much regard you have for yourself. Fourthly, how much regard the soul has for all souls, whether they belong to the Brahmin family or are just souls who come into contact with you. Check yourself as to what your record is like in all these four subjects. How many marks did you receive in all four subjects? Did you have full marks in all four subjects? Or were your marks good in some subjects and less in others, according to your capacity? Firstly, to have regard for the Father means to know and recognize him accurately as he is, and to fulfill the code of conduct in all your relationships with that accurate recognition. To have regard for the relationship of the Father is to follow the Father. To have regard for the relationship of the teacher is to be regular and punctual in your study and to pay full attention to all the subjects you are studying. To have regard for the relationship of the Satguru means to follow his instruction, to forget your body and all your bodily relations. It means to become soul conscious and to stabilize yourself in the incorporeal stage, the same as the Satguru. It means to remain constantly ever ready to return home. To have regard for the relationship of the bridegroom means to remain lost in love for that one in every thought, at every second, and to fulfill your faithfulness in everything you do. I eat with you. I do everything with you. To have regard for the relationship of the friend is constantly to experience his companionship in whatever you do. Similarly, to fulfill all relationships is to have regard for your relationship with him. To have regard is to follow the saying, "Mine is the one Father and none other." The Father says something, and the children put it into practice. They step constantly in the Father's steps. The dictates of your mind and the dictates of others should be removed from your intellect to such an extent that it seems as though they never existed. The dictates of your own mind and the dictates of others shouldn't touch your thoughts, even in your dreams. You should be totally ignorant of them. Only the Srimad of the One should be in your intellect. Only listen to the One Father. Only speak of the things that the One Father has told you. Only see the One Father. Only walk with One Father. Only think of the things that the Father has told you, and only perform the elevated deeds that the Father has told you to perform. This is called maintaining your record of having regard for the Father. Check in this way as to whether your record in the first subject is first class or second class. Is it constant, or does it sometimes break? Is your record of having regard unshakable, or does it go into upheaval according to the circumstances of Maya? Is your line straight, or does it sometimes become crooked? Secondly, to have regard for this knowledge means to have unshakable faith in all the elevated versions that have been spoken from the beginning to the present time. To have questions such as, how would that be possible? When will it happen? It should happen, but ... It is the truth, but ... means to have subtle doubts in your thoughts, which also means to have disregard for this knowledge. The version spoken by the souls of today, who are great souls in name only, those who show temporary miracles, those who deprive you of meeting the Father, who divert you from the truth. For such souls too, it is said that whatever they speak are the versions of truth. So, to raise questions or to doubt any of the knowledge given by the Satguru, who is the Supreme Father, the creator of all the great souls, is also a royal form of doubt or disregard. It is one thing to ask questions for clarifications, but another thing to ask questions based on subtle doubts. This is known as having disregard. The Father says this, but it's impossible or difficult for this to happen. In which account would you place such a thought? You have to check this too. Thirdly, to have regard for the self is to experience stability in the stage of whatever titles you have received from the Father in this alaukic, elevated spiritual life, in this Brahman life. It is also the praise of your form and stage, based on your virtues and tasks, such as being a spinner of the discus of self-realization, an embodiment of knowledge, an embodiment of love, and having an angelic stage. Experience yourself according to the titles that the Father has given you on the basis of knowledge, and stabilize yourself in that stage. You have to conduct yourself knowing who you are. What I am means I am an elevated soul. I am a direct child of the Father. I have a right to His unlimited property. I am a master, almighty authority. To continue to interact with others, knowing yourself as you are, is known as having regard for yourself. I am weak. I have no courage. The Father says this, But I cannot become this. My part in the drama is to come later. I'll be happy with whatever I receive. To feel hopeless in this way is to have disregard for yourself. You also have to check your record of the regard you have for yourself. Fourthly, to have regard for souls who come into relationship or contact with you means to have elevated feelings for all souls, whether they are Brahmin souls or souls who don't have this knowledge. You should have the elevated feeling of wanting to uplift them, to make them move forward, and to benefit everyone in the world. To interact with all souls by adopting this virtue means to have regard for everyone. Constantly look at the virtues and specialties of all souls. Look at them, but don't see their defects. Or, even higher than that, with your positive attitude and your stage of having positive thoughts for all, to transform the defects of many others is known as the soul having regard for souls. To cooperate with all souls with the power of your awareness is to have regard. Constantly to have regard of you first in your thoughts and deeds, and to consider the weakness or defects of others to be your own, and instead of telling others about them and spreading them around, to accommodate them and to transform them is to have regard. You should reduce someone's big weakness. Reduce it from a mountain into a mustard seed instead of making a mountain out of a mustard seed. This is known as having regard. To make hopeless souls powerful, not to be colored by their company, but constantly to give them zeal and enthusiasm, is known as having regard. Check how many marks you have claimed in this fourth subject. Do you understand how you have to give regards? Those whose regard for everyone and all four subjects is good become worthy of receiving regard from all the souls of the world. That is, at present, they will be known as world benefactors, and in the future, they will be the world emperors, and in the middle period, they will be the elevated and worthy of worship souls. In order to become a world emperor, you have to create such a record. To give regard to others is to receive regard. Giving becomes a form of receiving. You give one and you receive tenfold. So this is easy, is it not? Those from Karnataka are always embodiments of love for the Father. The land of Karnataka is very easy. The land is very fruitful because of their devotional feelings, and this is why service has grown so well. According to the drama, the land of Karnataka has received the blessing of receiving Baba's message very easily. Special souls can easily emerge from this land. However, what do you have to do in the future? Whatever growth of service takes place, you have to interact with everyone according to your disciplines. Constantly be a Mahavir in sustaining them with all powers. You have to bring about the specialty of maintaining a balance between love and power. In fact, you innocent children of the innocent Lord, the Father, are very good. You are good moths. Bap Dada likes all of you. Now, together with being liked by the Father, you also have to be liked by the people you serve. Acha? To those who constantly follow the Father, to the obedient faithful souls who fulfill every order, to the constantly great donors, the bestowers of blessings, to the world benefactor souls who enable all souls to move forward by giving them regard, to the souls who constantly have positive thoughts for the self, Bapdada's love, remembrance, and namaste. The spiritual children say namaste to the spiritual father. Then we have Bapdada's elevated versions spoken to souls personally. The first version is, Bapdada says, do you consider yourself to be a holy swan? A holy swan is one who lets go of anything wasteful and constantly picks up that which is powerful. Those swans separate milk from water, but a holy swan separates anything wasteful from what is powerful, lets go of the wasteful, and picks up the powerful. Just as a swan would never pick up stones, but would always pick up pearls, so too holy swans constantly adopt the Father's virtues. They do not adopt the stones or the weaknesses of others. Such souls are known as holy swans. They are pure and clean souls. The way of interacting and the diet of pure souls would be according to how pure they are. Holy swans have a pure diet, and they are pure in their interaction with others. All impurity finishes because you're going to the pure world where there is no name or trace of impurity or anything unclean. Because you become holy swans at this time, you are called His Holiness in future. You don't imbibe the weaknesses of others, even by mistake, and always have a garland of virtues around your neck. A garland is shown around the neck of the Shaktis and even the deities. This garland is shown as a memorial of those who adopted the rosary of virtues at the conference age. Whilst imbibing the Father's virtues, you also look at the virtues of everyone else. Do all of you have the garland of virtues around your neck? Only those who wear the garland of virtues can become part of the garland of victory. So, check whether your garland is large or small. Those who have the virtues of the Father and others inculcated into them are those who wear a large garland. By turning the beads of the garland of virtues, you also become an embodiment of virtues. Just as the Father is the embodiment of all virtues, so too you children are also embodiments of all virtues. The second elevated version is, in which Bapdada says, do you constantly consider yourself to be a lotus, detached whilst living and doing everything at home, and loving towards the Father? The extent of the love you have is indicated by the extent to which you are detached. To what extent do you love the Father? What is the sign of that love? You would automatically remember the one you love. You don't have to make effort to remember the one you love. If you experience this, you can understand that you love the Father. The indication of love is automatic remembrance. If you have to labor for remembrance, then there isn't that much love. Wherever you go, you should be celebrating the child, yourself, meeting the Father. When two are combined, they can't be separated from one another. So too, experience yourself being combined with Him. If you constantly see the Father wherever you go, that is known as being a constant yogi. It should not be difficult to remember the Father, but difficult to forget Him. Just as it was difficult for you to remember Him for half the cycle, so it should be difficult for you to forget Him at the conference age. No matter how much someone tries to make you forget Baba, You should never forget him. Be as firm and strong as Angad, so that Maya cannot even shake the tip, the nail in form of thoughts, of your thoughts. Only such souls are extremely loved by the Father. The third elevated version is to experience any type of obstacle or tension in service means to lack a balance between the self and service. When you don't pay enough attention to yourself, it creates tension or obstacles in service in one form or another. Together with making plans for service, you first have to make plans for yourself. Continue to serve while staying within the line of the code of conduct. If you serve having stepped outside the line of the code of conduct, you will not succeed. First of all, create a committee of those who pay attention to dharana. Make plans for this amongst yourselves, and then service will easily expand. The fourth elevated version is, do you constantly consider yourself to be a moth who has surrendered to the flame? Moths are not able to see anything but the flame. Moths sacrifice themselves and merge into the flame. So too, forget the consciousness of your body and become equal to the Father. This is known as becoming equal and merging. The whole cycle has gone by. Now, the blessing of this confluence age is that you can become whatever you want. Only at this time does the bestower of fortune draw your line of fortune. So, create whatever fortune you want. अच्छा, मीठे मीठे सिकिलदे बच्चों प्रति मात पिता बाप दादा का याद प्यार और गुड मॉर्निंग. रूहानी बाप की रूहानी बच्चों को नमस्ते. रूहानी बच्चों की रूहानी बाप दादा को याद प्यार और namaste. The blessing is, may you become a bestower of fortune for the world who receives love from everyone through your renunciation of name and respect. May you become a bestower of fortune, may you become a Bhagya Vidhata for the world who receives love from everyone through your renunciation of name and respect, through your renunciation of Nam or Man. The explanation is, just as the Father is said to be beyond name and form, and yet the name that is praised the most is the Father's, similarly, you too have to become detached from having temporary name and respect, and you will then automatically be loved by all for all time. Those who renounce being beggars for name and respect become bestowers of fortune for the world. The fruit of your karma will automatically come in front of you in its complete form. Therefore, be ignorant of the desire of anything temporary. Do not eat raw fruit. Renounce that, and fortune will follow you. The slogan is, you are a child of God, the Father, and so the feet of your intellect should always be on the throne. You are a child of God, the Father, and so the feet of your intellect should always be on the throne. The special homework to experience the Avyakt stage in this Avyakt month, the 25th point is, no matter how much waste someone speaks in front of you, just transform that waste and make it powerful. Do not take any waste into your intellect. If you accept even one wasteful word, then that one wasteful word will give birth to many wasteful words. Pay full attention to your words. Speak less, speak softly, and speak sweetly, and you will easily make your stage avyak. Om Shanti.